Hello everyone, I'm ExxotikGaming and today I am back with another Pixel Gun 3D video, and today's video is another weapon review on another weapon from the 11.0.0 updates. Today's weapon is called the Toxic Bane, and this, just like a lot of the other weapons in the most recent updates, is one of those weapons that has a very unique ability. This weapon is very similar to weapons like the Bad Doctor and the Poison Hunter, having a special poison ability that slowly kills your enemy after you deal one shot of damage to them. Going into the shop menu and looking at the stats of the Toxic Bane, we can see that Really Soft gives this weapon a grade of Legendary and an efficiency of 25. So, in theory, this should be one of the most powerful special weapons out there, but we have to get more in-depth in this video before we can fully determine that. This weapon also has a 94 firing rate, a 5 capacity, and a 110 mobility, and all of those aren't really spectacular stats aside from maybe the 25 efficiency, and you really have to go into a match and test this weapon out with its special ability, the poison ability, before you truly find out how unique this weapon is. Now, like I said before, like in my B-Spell review, this is one of those weapons that is really unique because it has that special ability, and I really am happy that Really Soft has given some of these weapons this special ability, because it actually works very well in Pixel Gun 3D. You can hit one single shot on an enemy player, and as you guys can see, those little things going up against that, up above his head, I guess those are little potions that just appear above his head for a split second. Those things are basically the damage that is being dealt to him, and because of that, he is slowly losing health, and I don't even really need to do a damage of shot to him. So it's a very unique feature, and there are only a couple of other weapons that have this feature in Pixel Gun 3D. Now, this weapon doesn't have the best capacity in the world. That's my first complaint with this weapon. I do have several complaints with the Toxic Bane. The fact that this weapon only has a 5 capacity with its very slow firing rate of only 94. In person, I would actually say that this weapon has a slower than 94 firing rate. It doesn't really seem like it's as fast as some of the other weapons that has a 94 firing rate, but hey, be that as it may, this weapon does have a pretty slow firing rate, considering this weapon is a 3-shot kill to a max armored player. It can potentially be a 2-shot kill if you do have that poison effect going for an enemy player, but most of the time it's going to end up being a 3-shot kill to an enemy player, because most of the shots you are going to be doing against an enemy player are going to be direct hits that are going to be able to take them out. If I could say one thing at the beginning of this review, before I say anything else, this is going to be one of those weapons in Pixel Gun 3D which will have the highest amount of kill assists you will ever see out of a weapon in Pixel Gun 3D. Maybe aside from the Poison Hunter and the Bad Doctor, probably not even as bad as the Poison Hunter, because this weapon does have a travel time, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult to use than something like the Poison Hunter. Now, like I said, this weapon has probably one of the highest rates of kill assists out of any weapon in Pixel Gun 3D. The reason is because this weapon has a 3-shot kill, with a 5 capacity and a pretty slow firing rate. A lot of the time, you're not going to even be able to take 5 shots before you take out an enemy player. And usually before that point, somebody else is going to kill the enemy player that you are aiming at before your poison does any damage to them. Because this is one of those weapons that works best in close range. You're going to have to use this weapon in close range if you really want to get the best effects of it. This weapon has a looping effect. When you shoot this weapon at like somewhere like that doorway over here, if I was to shoot this weapon at the doorway, right like I am doing right here, it's not going to reach it just because this weapon does have a looping effect, similar to weapons like the Cherry Bomb and the Firestorm. So you're going to have to aim well above where you actually think this weapon is going to hit in order to take an enemy player out like I had done just there. That person that I was aiming at was nowhere near my crosshair, yet I had to aim well above them, and that was how I was able to take that person out. As you guys have seen, pretty much every single one of my shots I have done so far were direct contact shots, if I was able to successfully get all 3 of my shots to hit an enemy player. Very unlikely will you find some of those poison shots actually killing somebody when using this weapon in a map like Silent School. If you really want to get the poison effect to do its full effect in actually killing an enemy player, you're probably going to have to go into some of the longer range maps like Ants Life and maybe even Atlantis and such like that before you can actually find how this weapon can do its poison to the effect of actually killing an enemy player. So it's kind of a trade-off. you're trading off kills, and a lot of them, really quickly when using this weapon on direct contact or using the full effect of the poison effect. In all honesty, I would use this weapon in close range. That is where I've gotten the best gameplay with this weapon, and that is where you probably will get the best gameplay as well. As you guys can see right there, I had gotten a kill assist, and even though I managed to hit a person one time, and I dealt the poison effect to that enemy player, they ended up getting killed by an enemy player much quicker because, as you guys all know, in a map like Silent School, you die very, very fast. Now, the thing is, with this Toxic Bane, this is a weapon where you can kill enemy players, and I might be a little bit too harsh on this weapon just because you can get kills when using this weapon. You guys have seen my gameplay, and as long as you're in a match where not every single enemy player has an extremely overpowered weapon, where people have unique weapons like the alien cannon that this guy has right here, and other weapons like this, you actually can stand a pretty decent chance against these enemy players. It's only when you go into a match where every single enemy player has the Ghost Lantern, or the Laser Bouncer, or other extremely overpowered weapons like the Smart Bullet Bazooka and the Trapper, will you find that you're not going to really be able to take out too many enemy players. If you go into a match and every single player has the Ghost Lantern, my best advice is, if you are using the Toxic Bane and you are trying to actually win in that match, you're best to just probably go leave that match and go try to find another one that is a little bit more competitive with much more unique weapons in them that are less powerful than some of the ones that those other players were using. Because, in all honesty, this isn't the most powerful weapon in Pixel Gun 3D. It's not really a weapon that I would give a 25 efficiency. I'm not entirely sure why Really Soft gives this weapon a 25 efficiency because this weapon isn't more powerful than the Freeze Ray Rifle, the Trapper, and the Laser Bouncer, which are all weapons that have a lower efficiency than this weapon. But be that as it may, Really Soft has given all of its special considerations for all of these weapons, and they must have a reason why this weapon is a 25 efficiency. As you guys could see, that second to last kill there was one of those rare occurrences of actually getting a poison kill with this thing, and you can get those. I'm not saying that that is impossible, but it is very unlikely in a match like Silent School. I mean, as you guys can see, that was the first time, or one of the first times in this entire video that I did get an actual poison kill when using this weapon. The only other benefit with that poison ability is the fact that this weapon does have the poison ability sit on the ground for a decent amount of time before you actually have it disappear. Like, as you guys can see there, anybody who walks in that little green, I guess you could say, explosion area, they will end up getting poisoned, and they'd have to be very careful. If you go into a match where somebody else has this weapon, you have to be a little careful, and you have to try to avoid those little green blasts on the ground. However, you're probably going to end up dying from some other player before you end up getting killed by the poison, because the poison does do a very slow damage to you. However, if you do go into a match and people don't have max armor, that poison is going to do a lot of damage to those people very, very fast. If you can manage to find a match like I'm actually in right now, where not every single player has the max armor level, you'll find that that poison does quite well. It'll actually take these people out very nicely, and you're going to get some pretty neat kills when using this weapon. I gotta say that you can get some of the coolest looking kills with this weapon, kills that you wouldn't have even thought were possible with some of the other weapons in Pixel Gun 3D, because you can't. They aren't weapons that have the poison ability. The only other weapons that can really get these types of kills are the Bad Doctor and the Poison Hunter, and this is the only one that really has the actual blast effect, which may make it a little bit easier to use than some of the other ones. In all honesty, I would probably say the Poison Hunter is the easiest poison effect weapon to use, and then next would either be the Bad Doctor or the Toxic Bane. It's a little bit difficult to determine between the two which one is easier to use and which one is a little bit more effective. I might have to actually do a full comparison between the two weapons because they are both very different and can yield some pretty similar gameplay. But regardless, both of them are pretty decent weapons, and like I said before, both of those weapons are weapons that aren't really necessary in being the best player in Pixel Gun 3D. This is one of those weapons where it's not necessary. I'm going to say that right now. It's not a necessity, and you don't need this thing to become the best player in Pixel Gun 3D. You don't need this weapon to just absolutely annihilate of every other enemy player, because in most of the matches that I have gone into, I have not won. very few matches I have used this weapon the entire time and have won because everybody else is going to have much more powerful weapons than you. That's just the thing. I mean, that's how every Pixel Gun 3D player is, or where most of them are. They want to win, and because of that, they're going to use the most powerful weapons available. They're going to use the Ghost Lantern, they're going to use the Trapper, and it's really difficult to find a match where people aren't using these weapons, so it's really a trade-off situation. I mean, really the weapons that are the necessities are the weapons that most other players are going to use that are going to guarantee you up in the top 3 positions in the leaderboard. This is not one of them, because this weapon can't guarantee you a position in the top 3 in the leaderboard. I mean, I haven't gotten it yet in this video, at least I don't think I have. And I mean, it's just not really a common thing to have happen when using this weapon. And I'm not saying that it's impossible. You can get up into the leaderboard, and I'm sure there are people watching this video that have won when using this weapon in numerous different matches that they have gone into. But the likelihood of winning with the Toxic Bane is greatly diminished when comparing it to something like the Ghost Lantern, because you can't really compare the two weapons. The Ghost Lantern is a very expensive and just devastating weapon. That's a one-shot kill, and it goes through walls, and it has an area damage, and it has a massive ghost that travels through the hallway and is practically impossible to avoid. And if you compare that with a weapon that has a small little looping blast that is a 3-shot kill and has a small minimal poison effect, it's kind of unfair for the Toxic Bane, because you know this weapon is not really going to be able to work up against the Ghost Lantern. But it doesn't mean this weapon is bad. There are plenty of other weapons in Pixel Gun 3D which are much worse than the Toxic Bane. And I mean, this is probably one of the better weapons in the special section to Pixel Gun 3D. If I was to divide the special section into 2 different sections, the lesser powerful weapons and the more powerful weapons, this one would be in the more powerful weapons, because this weapon does do a pretty decent amount of damage with a 3-shot kill, maybe even a 2-shot kill if you have that poison effect, and I mean, it does do its job. It's not that bad of a weapon, and especially, like I said, if you can manage to find a match like I am in right here, where every other player does not have the most powerful weapons out there, you can get some pretty decent gameplay. So, in all honesty, guys, is this weapon a necessity? No. But is it fun to use? Yes, and that is why I have purchased this weapon. I mean, I also purchased this to review it for you guys, but if I was not reviewing weapons on YouTube, I would go watch some YouTube videos and then realize that this is a pretty fun weapon to use, having the poison effects and having the looping shot, which makes it a little bit more difficult to get kills and makes all of those kills a lot more rewarding than some of the other weapons in Pixel Gun 3D. So it's really a trade-off. If you're looking for a purely powerful weapon that you don't really care if it's fun to use or not, you just want to go win matches, this is probably not the weapon for you. But if you are looking for one of the more enjoyable weapons to use that will provide you with a lot more experience in the long run, after using this weapon for a while and mastering how the looping shot works, you'll be able to use other weapons like the Bastion, you'll be able to use a weapon like the Firestorm, you'll be even able to use weapons like the Cherry Bomb, because all of those weapons have looping shots and they all perform in the same manner. So it's really a trade-off, like I said. I mean, it's really all up to you. If you're a player who really is tight on coins and gems, it's probably best not to get this weapon. If you're a player that doesn't really get too many weapons in Pixel Gun 3D, and it's very uncommon that your parents would allow you to get them, then you should probably save it for another weapon that is a little bit more powerful. Go just through my weapon reviews and go watch a couple of them, and you can go through my first couple of weapon reviews, or my most recent ones, and you'll find other ones that are more powerful than this one. I can give you guys examples. The Charge Cannon would be a better option than this one. The Dual Laser Blasters would be better options than this one, but it's all up to interpretation. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's pretty much my review on the Toxic Bane. I hope this wasn't too negative. It's just one of the lesser powerful weapons of this update, and one of the weapons I would least recommend out of the ones in this 11.0.0 update. But if I was to compare this with all of the weapons in Pixel Gun 3D, it's not that bad. So I really hope you guys did enjoy this review. If you guys did and you thought it was helpful, make sure to leave a like. I would really appreciate it a lot if you guys did. And make sure to comment down below any other weapon reviews you guys want me to do. Now, like I have said in some of my past videos, I now have the Golden Friend, the Spark Shark, and the Power Claw, so if you guys want me to review those, I can do those ones now. I can also do weapons like the Charge Rifle and other weapons from past updates like the Demo Man, so anything you want me to review, I can do that, and I'll do that within the next couple of videos. I don't think I'll do a review in my next video, but within my next couple of videos, there will be a review. So that's pretty much it. Make sure to go check out my other weapon reviews. I'll have 3 down below in the description if you guys want to go check those out. And that's pretty much it. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next episode.